I found my girlfriend of 8 years, cheating sex tape. Plus, all updates. Almost 3 weeks ago, a good friend of mine, Alex, and an acquaintance, Mike, got hold of a video of my girlfriend, Jaime, fucking another man. Mike found this browsing through porn sites with niche themes, and by chance, recognized Jaime. Got into contact with Alex about it, where both of them told me about the infidelity. When Alex and Mike told me of the infidelity, I went somewhere between shock and numb. I couldn't really say anything until I saw the video where I proceeded to puke my guts out. I couldn't even sit through a minute of it. The fact that it was edited to go straight into the action with Jaime's face clearly visible didn't help. We drove Mike home and Alex had good sense to force me to spend the night at his place, rather than go home. Where? I share an apartment with Jaime, with no idea how that would end. We shared some beers, mostly in silence. Alex did try to make me open up on what I felt about Jaime's infidelity. But I was just numb. I didn't know what I felt and told him so. I felt like wading through water with no thought in mind, other than what was in front of me. Alex didn't force anymore, and I passed out some time later. When I woke up, I recovered enough sense to realize that our relationship was most likely over. I go straight home through public transport, most likely brooding and/or looking pissed. I wonder what the other passengers thought when they saw me looking like shit while trying to emulate Batman. I get home and catch her getting ready to go out. Asked me where I was and why I didn't contact her. I don't bother answering and just told her we needed to talk. We sit down facing each other on our kitchen table that we built from scratch in my grandfather's farm, and that random thought pretty much broke the dam. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of harsh words was said, accusations, and blame. Too many details to describe, but essentially, I immediately broke down in tears and asked her how the fuck she could ruin this relationship we worked so hard on. She's confused and wanted an explanation. I dropped the bomb and showed the video. She cries, begs for forgiveness, but I hear nothing. More crying and cursing until I tell her that we're over. That was it, and she just shuts off. She slumped down and closed her eyes, still crying, but says nothing. This gets me out of anger and I try to figure out what she's doing. Talking to her, hard and gentle prodding. Nothing. Absolutely unresponsive. So I just drag her to our bed and lay her there. I go back to our kitchen and call her parents, Alice and Julio. I simply told them they needed to come and that their daughter is suffering a mental breakdown. I say nothing more than just telling them that they needed to see us and that what was happening needed to be face to face to explain. I shut my phone off, go back to kitchen, and think about what the hell just happened. Her parents rushed to our apartment demanding WTF happened. I don't tell them about Jaime's infidelity, but just say she needed mental help. She's on the bed acting comatose, but otherwise, okay. They couldn't bring her out of it, and eventually I had to explain. I didn't want to do it without Jaime being able to explain herself. I showed them the video, and they're heartbroken. Told them we had an argument. I didn't hurt her, but she probably couldn't handle the stress and broke down. They decide to bring Jaime to her university's mental health clinic. I decide not to go with them. The next day, Jaime eventually wakes up. She's stable and responsive. There, she says that the video was not consented. Her family decide to report this to cybercrime police. Jaime's family don't grill her with her mental state being the way it is. But her parents are obviously ashamed and aren't sure what to do other than what the psychologist recommends, which is to let Jaime rest for a while and support her until they're sure. She doesn't implode, then was sent home to her parents. This was all relayed to me by her older sister, Jackie, who's trying to be the mediator. She asked me if I really was going to end the relationship. I respond that I'm not sure if we can even salvage it. 2 days later, Jaime's parents ask me to visit them for a talk. I agree and go the next day. Jaime's parents and her older sister are present. We go to their living room and sit down. They looked sad and tired, and I felt the same. Jaime will be the last topic of our talk. First is me. They wanted my parents to be involved. I feel disrespected as we're already adults, plus me and my father are tense. But I relent as I'm already tired and a bit out of my depth. Marriage was in discussion in the past after all. Finally, we talk about Jaime. She's stuck in her room, miserable and ashamed. Otherwise, okay. She'll stay with her parents for now. When she's needed by the police, she can stay with Jackie in a hotel. They understand that I needed space. They've submitted a report to our cities. They live 1 to 2 hours away in the suburbs cybercrime office. I'm needed for the investigation. I explained that I wasn't the one who found the video, but I'll try to get Mike involved. They apologize for Jaime, but I tell them she's the one who needed to apologize and that they shouldn't baby her. They agree, but begged me not to argue right now, since Jaime may relapse. They exclaimed her psychologist assessment. Spontaneous, nervous breakdown, no history of mental illness. Concluded to be caused by accumulated stress from her studies and acute stress reaction from our argument. She needs rest in a safe environment. Psych almost called the police on me, but they convinced them not to, and with no physical trauma observed, gave up. The discussion devolved to apologizing, tears from Alice especially, and other noise. But they did want to take charge of everything. The investigation, Ime's well-being, her education and finances, etc. I was kind of washed off of everything. 8 days later, Alice calls me in the middle of the night, begging me to see Ime. Depressive episode, kitchen knife, locked in the bathroom yelling for me. Worst hour of my life. I'm pretty sure I almost died twice on the road, and glad that my country isn't developed enough for highway cameras. I meet Alice and Jackie outside the house, waiting for me. Jaime has mostly calmed, and Julio's with her in a room. They begged me to go see her, and with how bad the situation looked, I rushed to Jaime. She's a fucking wreck. Looked like her blood's been drained and hasn't slept for a while. She starts crying the moment she sees me and reaches out her arms. Whatever anger, exhaustion, and anxiety melted away, and I embrace her. She kept apologizing and begging for me to stay. I shush her and hold her tight. She eventually goes to sleep, and I take a moment to think about what's happening. I genuinely felt heartbroken seeing her like this. This is not how I thought, where we'll be together in the future, much less this Christmas. I am losing my best friend, and would have been partner for life. This was the person who helped me through my depression when even my own family dismissed it. She's even the one who made me make journals to help process what I go through. It's actually ironic how she's the reason how good I can write down details on her affair, and how bad it affected me. She's not evil. She's a beautiful, patient, and overall wonderful human being. Thinking of all the stuff we've been through, what we've done for each other, if I were to list all of it, would probably reach twice the word count for my post. I love her, and was prepared to be with her for life, and face everything that comes with it. And she destroyed that. I wake up before her, and go to the kitchen for coffee. Jackie is there and explains that she's had episodes twice before, and this was the worst yet. All of us except Jaime talk on what to do. Alice is in chemo for breast cancer. Julio runs a business, 20 minutes away. Jackie's workplace is already hounding her, and Jaime needs help. The situation is fucked, and everyone is exhausted. Jaime needs therapy. I implied mental institution, and that almost got my head torn off. But no one can look after her 24/7. They asked me to reschedule the inevitable and try to help her. There were definitely some emotional manipulation, but they are desperate. Due to my obvious lingering attachment, and my own respect and love for these people, I agree. This is where I fucked up. I go home, talk to Mike about the investigation. He agrees to talk to the police. I call Alex and explain all the BS happening. He warns me that this didn't sound like the right call. A mental institution was probably the best, and I'm just going to get hurt. Regardless, he'll still stand by my decision and to call when I need him. I love this guy. I've already scheduled a consultation for therapy, and Jaime will have a different one scheduled 3 days from now in my city. I just want to take a really long nap and get away from all this. Update. So, it's been over 2 weeks since my last post where I got proceeded to get my ass handed to me. I'm not complaining. You guys were right. I do need to leave and start living my own life. A lot has actually happened since then. But thankfully, most of it's boring, sad, and disappointing. Got myself a behavioral therapist, which something I should have done a long time ago. I have different problems unrelated to this that Jaime did help me through most. But a professional really does make a difference. Gave me a lot of hard questions. Important questions that forced me to put my life into perspective. It was liberating experience. Finally talked with my own family about this. For context, I'm not very close with my actual parents, particularly with my father. Broken home and all that. I consider my aunts, my father's 4 sisters, who stepped up to take care of me as a child, to be my real parents. So if I mention family, I really mean just my 4 moms. Turns out, they were more involved than I thought. Jaime talks to them. She loved talking with them about me and our relationship. They got closer for it too. She asked so many questions about me. What I liked, food, hobbies, what my childhood was like. She'd ask advice from them about so many things. What to do when I get pissy, how to get my ass moving, all that cute stuff. Around a year ago, when they noticed that I started acting positively, when they played around with the topic of marriage, Jaime and my family started to get ready. 3 of them have families with at least 3 children, each. So, to help ease the accommodation, they saved money to pay for themselves, and anything extra goes to the wedding, to us, and whatever after. They even talked about engagement rings. Calling them disappointed is an understatement. With the bullshit happening now, they opted to give me half of what they saved for the marriage to help me out, and also offered to take me back again, which truly is a massive help. My biggest problem this whole time was a source of income. I didn't have a job lined up out of my city, still don't, and my savings are meager. With all that settled, I gave my employer my resignation letter, canceled my lease, and have by the end of the month to sort my affairs. I'm leaving for good. As for Jaime, I've gradually stepped out of whatever's been happening with her and around her. Talked with her family, or more like told them that I'm leaving. Gave them info about psychiatric hold and made them handle her appointments with her psychologist and whatever else she needs. It was a sad affair, really. I know it doesn't seem like it, especially with Alice and Julio making me stay and take care of Jaime, but this is a first time for all of us. They raised 4 great kids, their relationships are great, and they even extended that to me even when they barely knew me. Jaime fucked up the worst, and this isn't something anyone can expect anyone else to handle with ease and grace. I mourned my loss of a potential family that I could have been proud to be with. For the PAs who filmed her, I still haven't confronted her about it, but Mike and Jackie shared what she told the police and how the investigation's going. It was a Korean national she says she met on social media for a fling. She said they only fucked once, but that was immediately shot down. The video showed 2 different, distinct rooms and got pressured to admit where it was, in case they can get anything like CCTV, social media posts, logbooks, witnesses, etc. And that they did. 1 hotel still had recordings that day, 2 hotels with logbooks containing names and dates. And their DMS, she didn't mention rape, blackmail, or drugs in play. Only mild intoxication, which was all obvious in the video apparently. Everything but the recording was consented. There were some possible routes to take in terms of damages, but when a lawyer got contacted, it was pretty much dead on the water. POS, being a Korean national currently in Korea, muddied the legal waters. They can do nothing else other than contact relevant Korean authorities, gather as much evidence and wait. But the lawyer wasn't confident anything might stick. As far as they know, they have no evidence that it was even POS who set up the cameras beyond that. POS stayed the night before and the cameras are obviously long since gone. There are far too many angles POS can play to delay or even win any lawsuit that reaches him. It will be most likely expensive, drawn out, and with very little chance of winning. So they gave up that route. PAs is getting off scotch-free. Why'd Jaime do it? I don't know. Before, I didn't have the guts to ask her. Now it doesn't really matter. I'm not as exhausted as before, and my mind's been clearer. I'm leaving for good, regardless of why she did it. I can just walk straight out with no explanation, or maybe leave a letter for her, thanking her for the wonderful time we spent together, the love we shared, and a final goodbye. I'm romantic like that. Still, I've decided to handle this with as much grace as I can. I'll help when worst comes to worst. Don't lay blame on myself or her family, and not even mount pressure on Jaime for ruining everything. Not for Jaime, but for my own twisted sense of self-gratification that I did all what can be expected and more. I will leave with my back straight and nose held high. Funnily enough, this did eventually show me how lucky I am despite everything. Yes, the love of my life cheated on me and had the audacity to throw a tantrum over it. My future's looking a little bleak. I've found out so much repressed anxiety and anger from my shitty childhood, but I'm still doing pretty great. I have family that loves me, friends that have my back, and despite her betrayal, brought the best out of me with wonderful memories along with it. I have nothing to be ashamed of, and can say with pride that I was a wonderful boyfriend. Hopefully this will be my last update. If not, the next to be far more boring and less mouthy. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.